It's early morning at Hohorita village, a few kilometers outside of Popondetta town. Organizers of the 70th anniversary commemoration are putting together the final touches to preparations as they wait for guests to arrive. And while at one level it is a solemn occasion, the remembrance of 4,000 men, women and children who died, it is also a celebration of life, and for the devout Anglican communities, a resurrection, a revival.
As soon as the lightning struck, the vegetation went into flames.
It was painful. People lost relatives, wives lost husbands, parents lost children. Nobody knew where each person was going to. They were running for their life.
Hohorita is a village that grew from a post-eruption settlement. People originally came from the foothills of the volcano. And after their villages were destroyed, the survivors were resettled here. And the traditional owners of the land were kind and generous, the survivors said.
There are many different stories, and depending on who you talk to, but I would tend to focus on the stories of the people of the vicinity where the eruption took place. And their stories suggest that the figure is far beyond the 5,000 that was originally estimated as being the figure of people who perished, number of people who perished.
A lot of the history about the Mount Lamington eruption has to be rediscovered. And after 70 years, records on the Papua New Guinea side still remain part of oral history that has to be drawn from the mental archives of the elders who are in possession of it.
My clan, the survivors were only two. That's my father's brother and my father. And those two, they were out of the province. We have no record. So it's totally lost. For me to tell you a story would be a hearsay from what I hear.
Rediscovering that history has been like putting together pieces of a puzzle. And while I knew something about Mount Lamington, I never really delved into the massive relief operation that followed and the subsequent resettlement of people. Only when you speak to the elders, you get a sense of the unimaginable pain they went through. And many of them were very young. All of the survivors of the Mount Lamington eruption are in their 70s and 80s. We had the honor of meeting 4 of them. And one of them spoke at length about what he saw as an 8-year-old.
There was a thick, dark smoke roll down the hill. That was not a fire smoke, but it was the dust of the mountain or the soil of the mountain. And it was blew up like a smoke, heavy smoke.
The disaster not only destroyed villages and the environment, it killed whole clans and families. Clan systems had to be restructured so that children were cared for. Land boundaries were reimagined and the people resettled.
It altered how clans were structured and land boundaries and such were altered. And sometimes this has caused conflict even up until now.
For the colonial administration, the Mount Lamington eruption triggered the biggest post-war relief operation. The first team into the disaster-stricken area was led by these men, former soldier in Kiap Des Martin, patrol officer Bob Blakey, and volcanologist Tony Taylor. Des Martin was later honored by the Papua New Guinea government with a Logohu Award. Tony Martin's work studying the Mount Lamington volcano identified safe zones where the administration could work through the rescue operation. His work is still classed as one of the best studies of an active volcano. He died on Manam Island in 1972. For the people here in the Northern Province, Anglican missionaries led by Bishop David Hand are still held in high regard for his work in rebuilding communities devastated by the disaster.